Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is anyone recording the meeting for the public? Thank you. Roll call, please, Mr. Blair.
Mrs. Lorenzo.
Here.
Mrs. Kuhn.
Here.
Mrs. McAvoy. Mrs. Phillips.
Here.
Mr. Piger.
Here.
Mr. Redner. Mrs. Taylor.
Here.
Mrs. Waxler. 5 in attendance.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Upcoming meetings of the Board of School Directors are that we have a Committee of the Whole meeting September 11th at 4:45. We have a Facilities Workshop September 13 at 5 o'clock. And a School Board Business meeting September 18 at 6 o'clock. And the Board will hold an executive session following this meeting regarding a legal matter. We'll move on to liaison reports. BCIU, Mrs. Taylor.
Thank you. The board met on August 17th, and one of the main highlights was recognizing Chief County Detective Michael Gombar as the 2023 BCIU Outstanding Community Partner. It's a mouthful. Detective Gombar is a retired Reading police officer who has also served in the district attorney's office, county detective's office since 2008. He does a lot with child abuse investigations, school safety, and those issues. So it was really nice to see him recognized. That was other than routine approvals, some opening day statistics. One that I found most interesting is our Education for Children and Youth Experiencing Homelessness will serve approximately 9,000 children. Now, they're not all in Berks County because BCIU provides services for, I believe, 6 other counties than us, but that number is pretty staggering. And our next meeting is scheduled for September 21st.
Thank you very much. BCTC, Mr. Potiker.
Thank you, Mrs. Lorenzo. Our last meeting was August 23rd, just last week. Unfortunately, I had to miss it last minute because of a family funeral. I did have a chance to read the meeting briefs, and it was mostly routine information that's shared in those, unfortunately. So it's definitely one of those ones where you get a whole lot more being at the meetings. But our next meeting is September 27th, and I'm sure I'll have some more exciting things to report then as the school year will have started. Just a reminder, that is a position that will be open when I leave the board in a few months. I love the position, in all honesty, so it is something that if anybody's looking to change what their liaison is or what their new group is, I would certainly recommend it. So happy to talk with anybody about it. And Dave Hershey, if you're there, I think you are, I'm happy to talk with you. I know we had talked about that at some point. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Potiker, and thank you for being at opening day representing the board, Mr. Potiker.
I'm glad to be. And neat to see all the teachers back.
Good, thank you. Berks EIT, Mr. Boyer.
Yes, on June 29th, which seems like many months ago, we met, and it was a very brief meeting. Collections overall on a county-wide are higher by 3% on year-to-date than previous year. Specifically, earned income tax is about 3.2% higher, which is great. Business privilege tax, when looking at as a collective whole in the county, is actually lower than prior year, and that's due to West Reading moving their collections out of the bureau into a private provider that's collecting for them. So that's just how that looks on when you compare year to date, just the business privilege tax. The new president was elected, which is Christine Schlossman. She is the CFO at Wilson School District. And we have a new treasurer too, which is Troy Bingham. And I think he's from Douglasville. So some new leadership for the Berks Earned Income Tax Bureau. The next meeting is September 28th. So
Thank you very
That's
much.
fine.
Thank you. WASB, Mrs. Kuhn?
Yes, we have not met yet for the school year, although we meet in 2 weeks from today. But they are hosting their 3rd annual cornhole tournament on Sunday, September 17th, which is kind of like their fall fundraiser. It is in the event space behind Slide 5. So if you're interested in attending, it is on the WASB website, and they would appreciate anyone who can make it out to support them.
Thank you very much. PTA, Mrs. Phillips?
Thank you. PTA this Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. over at the Hills, we are hosting the back to school PTA coffee. So we are inviting all parents, grandparents, anybody that wants to be interested in the PTA to come to that event. So,
Tell me again when that is.
it is Wednesday, 9:30 over at the Hills.
Thank you. Hi, Mrs. McAvoy, thank you for coming. We needed quorum and you made it for us. No, we're really happy you got here, thank you. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to routine approvals. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the following. August 14, 2023 Board of School Directors meeting minutes, treasurer's reports for the months of June and July of 2023, and the payment of bills for the months of June and July 2023 as listed in the financial packet. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
We can do this by voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We will move on to the appointment of a new school director. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the following item: to appoint David Hershey as school director effective immediately until the board reorganization meeting on December 4, 2023. The background of this is that Mr. Hershey is filling a vacancy created by the resignation of Maria Ziolkowski, as accepted by the Board of School Directors on August 14, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Roll call, Mr. Boyer?
Mrs. Lorenzo,
Yes.
Mrs. Kuhn,
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Pottinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Well,
Mr. Hershey, if you would come forward with Judge Taylor, who could swear you in. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for agreeing to step forward and do this for us for a few months.
Okay. You place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, David Hershey,
I, David Hershey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Feel good? Might be sitting in it quite quickly. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Is that good here?
Oh, yes, thank you so much,
Yes.
Judge
No problem.
Taylor.
Thank
I
you
really
again.
appreciate your time. We'll move on to the superintendent's report, Mr. Scobor.
Not sure how to vote now.
On the administration employee side, we welcome Mr. Hershey to the board. And I didn't go through this with Mrs. McAvoy because she had already served, I believe, 8 years in addition. But Mrs. Lorenzo set up a meeting. We're starting this week with orientation. So we'll get set up with some logistics. And then over the next couple months, there'll be a series of meetings to help Mr. Hershey kind of learn as much as he can without us overwhelming him from the administration side. And so we look forward to working with you, and thank you for your service. Just wanted to update the board and anybody who's following the meeting tonight on 2 exciting events that happen each year, but nonetheless are really, really enjoyable. So last week was the opening day for staff. That was last Wednesday. We started with a breakfast opportunity for all employees and a chance to catch up with your friends and kind of decompress as you're starting the school year, and that was very popular. We were welcomed by the high school student council, which was a really nice touch. They greeted all of our employees at the door, opened the doors for them. They stood behind the food serving stations and welcomed, and that was a big hit with the staff. Our high school camerata, also a couple of the members came and started off the event for us. And then we had some welcome messages from partner organizations, WAEA, WHEC, and we were glad to have PTA join the event this year. And then Dr. Aras, who you've heard about through Dr. Langle and the Mental Health Action Plan, was a keynote and really focused on reinforcing the science behind connections. You know, we all talk about making connections with kids and how that's important, but Dr. Aras helped us connect the science around mental health and connections at school, and then laid the groundwork for some of the work she'll be helping us as a consultant do over the course of the year. So it was a nice fit well with our strategic plan and our focus. So while that was exciting, even more exciting is today when all of our students started. And I know Dr. Woodard and Dr. Langle and myself, and then the rest of our team, Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Capacelli, Mr. Boyer, we're not maybe out visiting the schools in the same way, but we're behind the scenes at all the schools, making sure everything was working. But the three of us got to participate with some of the opening moments of school and welcoming our students. We also had Mrs. Phillips joined us, and the PTA had several members there. And then the Wyomissing and West Reading police departments also came. So it was a great group of people to welcome our students, and overall very successful opening at all three schools. We thank all of our employees, those that are out in front of the public and those that are behind the scenes. A lot of hard work to get our schools ready. They all look great, the grounds look great. You know, things were in place for our students. I know a couple board members over here were able to get a tour of the hills on Friday, and it was a very different tour than this time last year, and really looked like you know, everything was ready, and you know, we thank everybody for getting us through that. Like any school, we go through opening day, and there's things we can work on and improve, and you know, schedules and transportation, and you know, we have students sometimes registering up through today, up through the next couple weeks. So there's always a lot of things to work on, and we'll take that feedback from today and fix those items, and you know, get better each day. But that's pretty typical for a school district. In your first day or two, there's a few things that you're trying to time right and get right and make sure everybody's in the right place, and we'll keep working through that. But again, an excellent opening, and we all look forward to a great first week and a start of the school year. So with that, we move on. We have some agenda items, and the first area is curriculum and technology. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve and ratify the following curriculum and technology item, and that's just number 1.
Do I have a motion? So moved. I mean, second. Sorry. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Boyer.
Mrs. Kuhn,
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Pottinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Hershey. Mrs. Sorensen.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 6-0 with 1 abstention.
And just that, thank you for approving that item. The Reading Hospital has been adding and strengthening internships the last couple of years. Prior to that, it was primarily if you had a personal connection, or they had started a program in Reading School District. Well, now they're really out through the whole county. We've had some staff over at their events. Our numbers have somewhat been limited. There is a pretty rigorous application process to get through, and it's limited to seniors at this point. But we hope as the program expands, we'll have more students involved. Certainly now with Mr. Yaus as our new internship coordinator, we'll have a different additional opportunity to help our students apply for those openings. So we thank the Reading Hospital for the program. The next section is finance and facilities. And before I ask for the motion, these are generally pretty consistent items. We had a couple of items that were reviewed at our last board meeting. And then we are fortunate again in our community to have, many organizations that donate. From WAVE, you can see a large donation for the WHEC book vending machine. Got a chance to check that out and give it a little sample run. Looks really nice. And then the PTA with two donations, one for esports, one for opening day. And then the Reedy family to help us support the Coach Wolfram dedication event. So it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve and ratify the following finance and facility items, numbers 1 through 6.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Mr. Boyer? Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Boyer?
Mrs. McAvoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Pottinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor,
Yes.
Mrs. Waxler. I'm sorry, she's not here. I didn't scratch her name off before. I apologize. Mr. Hershey, Mrs. Lorenzo,
Yes.
and Mrs. Coon.
Yes.
And motion passes 6-0 for an abstention.
Okay, the next section is personnel, and as the board knows, there's been, since the spring to now, pretty significant personnel sections. You can see the last two meetings, it's starting to get a little bit smaller, but nonetheless, we have some changes here. We thank, we have a few resignations, but we also want to recognize Jen Yetter and Jessica Godek, two longtime teachers for their many years of service, and we wish them the best with their next opportunity. And then we have a number of items as we welcome some new staff members and move staff members accordingly to meet the needs of our students. So it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve and ratify the following personnel and policy items as presented, and that's numbers 1 through 6.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I just ask, so are those, so like Mrs. Yetter and Mrs. Godek, do we already have somebody covering?
No,
Or
so
will
we
looking at?
We hold generally for up to 60 days, and positions have been posted, we're setting up interviews. If we were able to get someone prior to that, we would release them ahead of the 60 days, but if not, we'll generally hold them. But our hope is to, at least by the end of that time, we should have somebody in place. And I know Dr. Woodard and our principals are
We have
working through
interviews
that.
scheduled for later this week and next week for both of those positions.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Mr. Boyer?
Mrs. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Pottinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Hershey,
Abstain.
Mrs. Lorenzo,
Yes.
Mrs. Coon,
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 for an abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any old business? Any new business? Any right to know requests? They were in the minutes. Any updates from organizations? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay? Thank you. Meeting is adjourned, and then we will stay and hold an executive.